Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and today we are going to talk about bones of cranium. So let's start our topic with introduction. Cranium is part of skull that surrounds and protects the brain. It forms the upper and back portion of skull and provides attachment point for muscles of head and neck. Cranium consists of 8 bones which are firmly joined together by immovable joints that are called sutures. These bones create a strong protective cavity for the brain while also forming the structure of the head. Classification of cranial bones. There are 8 cranial bones in total that include 4 unpaired bones and 4 paired bones. 4 unpaired bones include one frontal bone, one occipital bone, one sphenoid bone, and one ethmoid bone, while 4 paired bones include 2 parietal bones and 2 temporal bones. Cranial bones are one frontal bone. As you can see in the diagram, the yellow color bone in front is called as frontal bone. Second cranial bone we have is parietal bone. You can see in diagram the blue color bone just behind the frontal bone is parietal bone. Third cranial bone we have is temporal bone. As you can see in diagram, the red color bone just below the parietal bone is temporal bone. Next cranial bone we have is occipital bone. As you can see in diagram, the bone purple color bone that is behind the parietal and temporal bone is occipital bone. Next cranial bone we have is sphenoid bone. As you can see in diagram, the green color bone between frontal, parietal and temporal bone is the sphenoid bone. And then we have ethmoid bone, as you can see it from the orbital cavity in this diagram. Now let's talk about these cranial bones one by one. So first cranial bone we have is frontal bone. You need to refer to diagram for easy description. Frontal bone is located at the front of the skull. It forms the forehead, the roof of eye socket and part of nasal cavity. It contains frontal sinuses which reduce the weight of skull and resonate the voice. It articulates with parietal bones at coronal suture. Next cranial bone we have is parietal bone, that is pair bone. That means there are 2 parietal bones in every skull. They are large pair bones that are located on the sides and roof of cranium. They meet each other at sagittal suture on top of the skull. They articulate with frontal bone anteriorly, they articulate with occipital bone posteriorly and with temporal bone laterally, as you can see in the diagram. Then we will talk about temporal bone, that is pair bone. That means there are 2 temporal bones in every skull. They are found at the lower sides of skull near the ears. Important features of temporal bone include: first is external auditory meatus, that is also called as ear canal. Second is mastoid process, that is for the attachment of neck muscles. Third is styloid process that provides attachment for tongue and throat muscles. Fourth feature is petrous part, that is part of temporal bone that houses the organ of hearing and balance, and it also forms part of temporomandibular joint with the mandible. Next cranial bone we have is occipital bone. It is located at the back and base of the skull. It contains foramen magnum, that is a large opening for passage of spinal cord. It articulates with first cervical vertebra, that is also called as atlas, to allow nodding movement of the head. It also provides attachment for neck muscles. Next cranial bone we have is sphenoid bone. It is unpaired bone, that means there is one sphenoid bone in every skull. It is a butterfly shaped bone that is situated on the base of the skull. It extends across the cranium. It connects with many other cranial bones. It contains sella turcica, that is a depression that houses the pituitary gland. It also contributes to the floor of cranium and sides of orbits. Next cranial bone we have is ethmoid bone, that is a light spongy bone that is located between the eyes. It contributes to the medial wall of orbits, the roof of and sides of nasal cavity, and also to the part of nasal septum. It contains cribriform plate which has tiny opening for passage of olfactory nerve that is responsible for the sense of smell. It houses the ethmoidal air cells which are small sinuses. Functions of cranial bones. First function is protection, as these bones surround and safeguard the brain. Second function is support, as these bones provide structural framework for the skull. Third function is muscle attachment, as these bones offer attachment point for head and neck muscles. Fourth function is they house special organs as these bones contain structures that are related to sight, hearing, balance, and smell. Fifth function of cranial bone is they allow opening for communication as there are foramina in the cranial bones that allow nerves and blood vessels to pass through, thus connecting the brain with other parts of the body. Conclusion of this lecture video. Cranium consists of 8 bones, 4 of which are paired bones and 4 are unpaired bones that are intricately joined to form a strong protective case for the brain. Each bone has a unique features and specific role from housing sensory organ to providing pathways for nerves and vessels. Together they ensure both protection and functionality, making the cranium one of the most essential part of human skeleton. And this was all about cranial bones. Hopefully you liked the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you for watching.